Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM, and wonderful to welcome back from the Waikanae Community Board, James Westbury. Good morning and welcome to you.
Oh, and good morning to you. It's a nice one out there.
It's a beautiful day, and here we are. We're entering into, well, certainly it feels very spring-like at the moment, and entering into a summer that we hope is going to be very successful. And I believe that there is a bit of a push to make sure that community boards are as successful as they can be. And the empowering, I think was the word, empowering the community boards we heard about at the last election may be more than just a political slogan.
Oh, indeed. On Wednesday this week, we participated in a really interesting workshop with community board members across the region, so from Paikokariki all the way through to Otaki, including Waikanae ourselves, looking at how we can achieve some form of localism with regards to enabling and effectively enabling community boards to discharge their duty. So it was a little bit of taking a strategic view. What do community boards do? What are our existing delegations? Where could they be improved? What's some things that council needs to do following the recent review that was undertaken by Tom Gott? And about how they can implement some of the actions and recommendations from those. So it's actually a good first step, so I'm really pleased to see that we're getting some traction on that. There's been a fair amount of delay due to COVID, so there was some interesting and wide debate. Some of the big issues I raised in particular to that were about making sure that we've got good governance in place with regards to our reporting, our accountability, and the way in which our reports and our processes interface with council, because at the moment they're very, very blurred. And if we haven't got that accountability framework and reporting and feed-in processes that are really clear, because what I've seen is a lot of, how do I describe it? Staff, elected members, community board members all have quite differing views of what a community board member actually is and actually what the role of the board is. So it would be really great to crystallise what that is, the expectations of council to work with the board, including staff, and the expectations of boards, because at the moment it's quite fluid.
The community boards are supported by council officers, though, aren't they?
We do. We have a GM who assists us, and we have a secretariat. But in terms of real resource and support, we're basically a board without any infrastructure sitting behind us. So it's really difficult to, you either write your own reports in some ways if you're wanting one that's specific to the needs that you want, rather than council coming up with or staff coming up with reports for the board.
You almost seem to be suggesting, though, that community boards have got different ways of working and reporting, and therefore are difficult to compare. Or is that the community boards difficult to compare against the council?
Well, there's a couple of things. Community board roles and functions across the country are very different. Some boards in around Tauranga and the Coromandel and in Queenstown have significant council budgets allocated to them for the management and review, and they actually have a number of staff reporting to and supporting them in their duties. Now, at the moment, we only have secretariat support, which essentially means somebody helping us with the minutes and collating a couple of questions and bits and pieces. So it's quite different. As a board, we're not resourced at all by council, which is a little bit frustrating. So that's something that came out of the discussion. But also what was interesting is that I think there needs to be a good education program for not only councillors but staff and for community board about what their roles and functions are, and then to also clarify what our aspirations are and how we can work with the community and advocate successfully on their behalf.
So at this stage, is it mainly a stock take of what we are and how we are making our particular goals and the ways of getting there? Just how we're doing it at the moment rather than where we should go in the future?
Well, there's a bit of a stock take, but also looking for more aspirational activities, how we can work better and how we can interface at a better degree. Say, for example, community boards don't have a vote on council, yet we're able to sit at the table of a council meeting, yet we're at the moment a bit like a second-class citizen. So there's just quite a few, governance-based issues that need to be addressed, as well as operational level sort of support. So it was a really good first meeting. I was really quite pleased with the contributions from other board members across our district, but also, the thoughts of how we might address some of the issues. So there's some really good thoughts there. It's about how much traction we get now to ensure that this actually moves forward with some form of momentum.
Excellent. And I believe you've also been doing some work on the district growth strategy.
Indeed. Well, we were provided a brief on the district growth strategy. So essentially our district growth strategy is up for review. At this point in time, it's quite old and out of date, and some of the assumptions that underpin it are in need of review. Now, the reason the district growth strategy is important is it really identifies some and assists with our district plan about where businesses and what our town centres might look like, or how our coastal and natural environment is maintained, or where people are able to develop certain sections or areas of land, or for commercial use or for residential, and sort of what we want our community to look like, rather than it developing as a bit of a haphazard type of community. Let's try and take a bit of a planned approach to about what areas we want to see developed, and to see growth develop in quite a sustainable way.
Okay, so this was a briefing about work that's being done on reviewing that strategy.
Indeed. So at this point in time, the growth strategy really does need to, they're hoping to consult with the community in July next year, but at the moment they're doing a lot of what we call, information gathering, establishing what are the principles, for example, and understanding some of the scenarios that might influence what that growth strategy looks like. And then in July next year, that'll be presented to the community for consultation and feedback. So, with all statutory type processes, they do have quite a long tail before you see the final product. So hopefully we're going to start seeing some of this work play out, and something when it does come out for consultation, the community does need to look very carefully, because it's going to affect what our community looks like for some time in the future.
Great. Okay. Watch the space, as they say. James Westbury, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank you. It's been great.
106.3 Beach FM.